Sorry gentlemen, come back again because last video was interrupted after 1.5 hour 25 minutes. So I'm just continuing with another video with number 274A. Continuation of this video of today is 24th February 2021. Same title, just numbers changed, date is added 1 and number is 274A. I'm going to continue this with this approach. There's no other way out, and we are talking here for prime contractor and design, and you can say prime contractor relation with company in EPC contracting. Prime contractor and its relation with company, that I defined. The prime contractor is everything as far as designs and execution of projects related to. There is no way that it's not simple contractor. It's contractor with repute, contractor having design knowledge and work knowledge, all knowledges, and this is high profile contracting where you are not simply paid for work done but paid for your reliability, paid for your future, paid for your responsibility. Your own work you have done, your own designs, nobody is responsible for that, you are responsible. As a prime or EPC contractor, it's responsibility of design, complete liability of your whole system, whole project. It's very big job. In fact, this is complete contract, you can say. Of course, silver books comes into play, and we are talking of silver book only. But now we are talking of AnnexSL because I was talking of silver book before. But AnnexSL has come in because until you understand quality system, it's no use to understand silver book or EPC. You can understand only when if you say this is structure, quality structure of organization, how organization works, and that's what AnnexSL stands for. Standard definition in format of EPC or AnnexSL. Our topic is facilities that's taken in that prime contractor who does works for designs and execution, operation, as well as training all people. That's where relation lies in. Means employer is only employer, or employer means here you can say operator or so-called company. Examples are already given all over the world. That state it could be, or it could be that company gives contract to awards contract to EPC, and that's the prime contractor, who of course employs other contractors, namely civil contractor, equipment contractor, procurement, and many more. Or it enters into some alliances with the designers or into some alliances with manufacturers. It depends how it moves, what policy does it adopt as far as ambit of contracts is concerned. What contracts scope says, what and says, what its own definition mandates under approval, subject to approval of employer or account company. This relation is very important. It's very inbuilt relation of highest responsibility, where employer entrusts this organization, EPC, single or joint venture, where trust is forwarded to this group or joint venture or single company organization by oil company or by the employer. And this is where it goes to many more contracts or subcontracts of very high different natures with required specification. This contractors or subcontractors are of specialized nature, and the experts in their field. And that's why relation is means money is paid by contract, sum is paid by employer to EPC or prime contractor, who further makes payments depending on progress. And this is now 1 day or 1 year. Maybe in a couple of years this contract. There are examples like this. Now we have examples. Doha Airport was built, and then many plants were built. 600 KTA in Abu Dhabi Airways in 1999 2003. There is so many other projects which are done likewise. I'm just giving reference because of my own experience. Then we consider design contractor and its relations with company, and prime contractor. As I explained, prime contractor and its relation with company. Same way you can say design contractor and its relation with company or prime contractor. Design contractor, of course, is part of EPC and design. EPC party has to depend on some specialist group designs, so they can hire them, or they can enter joint venture with them. I think joint venture is better than hire, because the design continues since the start of project to end of project. So you cannot say in 6 months you design and finish. It's not that, because of high power projects, high profile projects, the equipments are involved, and nobody can immediately finalize which equipments there. Depends on many factors, many requirements. Will meet requirements of your system, your technology, its requirement of this delivered vessels. That there are hundreds of vessels, one or two on every such project. Many vessels are involved, so many designs are involved, and if you say no, you do it in 6 months, all this is not possible. So you better to have all into joint venture between main APC and designers. You may call it alliance. This construction company, as well as this designer, a JV joint venture could be constituted. That's the role comes in, because until end, and even post end, even post mechanical completion of project, maintenance goes on, and then operation starts. And operation, people requires training from that person who gives party. Then this mandatory law, and even if you allow others to come, then it won't work. You can't work if you don't do this way. So designer, who is of course not lead party, but following party with this EPC, and this in generally this design contractor, alliance contractor, or designs have to follow up with advisors of EPC for every design, for every requirement, and then make sure that all this are in line to whatever is required to build. It should be in line to that. That's very important point. Though interaction on design should be intensive interactions with EPC, as well as with what we call it, company, that's operator company. Whole duration of project you have to deal with, allowed by, and if you can, why there is no hard and fast rule on that. Means depends how, and moreover here this design will be given lot, because an ordinary citizen cannot read papers, and if read papers it's not necessary, then we will grant you. So that's a very big point for considering this design contractor and its relation with company, prime contractor. That design contractor has to work in alliance with the main contractor, and has to, if it's required, professionals. Now I explained to you about designers. Designers have to work a lot. It's not only civil design, it is trains design, it is vessels design, machines design, and here it's big job for interdisciplinary designs. Only then you can design foundations. This point, that time, date for now, as I said, these designs of process trains and vessels are very complicated, and designs are to be done. This is required because every equipment, vessel, or machine should be compatible with requirement. It should provide, that is important. Then that's role of designer, most important role. And then construction role comes in design of constructions, structures, all that. It's very important. Then there is some very specific materials and nominated contractor we apply, which we have discussed before. Also nominated contractor is named in contract or execution contractor. Part comes in execution contractor. Execution contractor is civil, electrical, mechanical contractors are going to the job on site, and that's where our applies in. Generally, see in the last months, 2 or 3 months before, as I say, they are very much how. Let's see here, nominated contractor. I see now the execution contractors. Here, execution contract doesn't civil alone. It's all contractors who work on behalf of EPC or on behalf of main EPC contractor was to pay to, of course, whatever items are intended to push to surveys. You have to pay people. Those must be audited at national level. That's basic law, because or take around of money. And also, if you go further, you'll find that these execution contractors are linked to each and every discipline, and there will be many as such. Design of vessels, design of trains, and then this too, and then execution of that. Execution is very time consuming. We have to be very careful about that in time of this project, because you have to procurement take time after items license approved, and take precautionary measures to practice, and all these execution contractors too. We come to vessels manufacturing vendors. Vessels manufacturing vendors that you have to deal with them, which vessel is best for this, how much capacity vessel can give in, what's temperature ranges, and how can we control it, how can we control it, if there's no electricity, then you have to control. Without electricity, it takes much more time. You can say mobile second coils. So you have to then you can say vessels manufacturing. I told you so specifically everyone overseas invest makes vessels, and they don't like to give to us. Well, in effect, now vessels manufacturing vendor is very difficult job actually, but they are specialized people and they customize your requirement and produce vessels as such, and these vessels fit in. There are different type of vessels, can be stationary vessel as well vibratory vessel. Depends on its functioning. Both are produced and both are sketched, indications are given, and then it becomes job of engineer to whatever rank the demand for. It's not is a time consuming job in this, you can say. Sometimes, though it's a big project, maybe 4 or 5 years, it does not happen. It could happen otherwise. There are possibilities. Now, now vessel design is something else. It will be very long. There are specialists that can do it. Only we have to give our requirement, which we can take from our project feed and others. But provisionally we can give them. There is such a loss. In that case, you can say site protection and security. After vessels manufacturing vendors, we can say site protection and security. If whole site is not secure, your vessels can also be taken away. Don't forget. The whole site. So my dear friends, now is very analytical work we're doing on this. Very much powerful, though may not be that destructive, but it's experience telling everything. So we are talking of site protection and watch the site and operation time. So, yes, that's right. You have to secure site. You have to protect site from all impacts. You have to protect site in such a way that you know the it's a question mark here. After all, we need. We are talking of, you can say, uh, site protection and security and site tidiness, which are all points in health, safety, and environment, as well as self and It's not very, attractive, but the project requires to be done. We have to take all points into our consideration only. We have to secure whole site and internal and external. There have been uh, so we have to protect and secure site and maintain site tidy, which are very much important, significant requirements on every site. And particularly, this site is very big. You cannot keep the site untidy. There is no way as such. You have to take care of site by all means. Access, entry, internal circulation. There will be many vehicles coming in, going out. Hundreds of people coming in, coming out, and material coming. With the heavy material coming in for concrete purpose. By a certain take from bleaching plants, reliable bleaching plant, they access the source of the area, then buy equivalent as well, unfortunately. Our plants are experienced in the town. Now, site surveillance is site protection and site security. No one authorized should enter gate without permission, and no one should enter without permission, and is so ties to that. So, what do you say that we have to make sure all controls are in place, all security and protection controls, and site remains very tidy, not have, you know, like without even understanding how should be yard should be defined, in where laydown should be defined, site offices should be defined, process area system should be defined. There is Yes, and then maintaining site tidiness is very important point because if a site is not clear, accessible, there are obstructions on way, there will be more chances of accidents and loss of time, loss of manpower, money power, and no method statement allows accidents, loss of time, nobody allows that. Security, safety, HSC are very important parts of every project. Health, safety, awareness, and also yeah, this bypass. Ethane waste. Now, see, all controls are mandatory, should be maintaining site traffic controls. You have to make program for traffic as well. How to handle that because without that it's not possible to do job. Now we go to traffic controls. We talked traffic controls are part very much safety and circulation of site areas, and we have dealt in details, but here also will say area speed shall be limited. That's main control. No high speed and only those complete buses. Hmm. So it is like this. Then say traffic controls, maintaining site, all other controls, what were controlled. No, all controls are required to maintain on site, whatever kind of controls you see, procurement control, budget controls, then specifications controls, then quality controls, or you may say whatever you define it must be there, and that's it. Whatever you define must be there, and I brought that nothing can move in the scenario. If no controls means lapse of everything. No control means lapse of everything. And controls are limited. You can say not only controls, execution controls, work controls, cement controls, concrete controls, steel controls, and so many structural elements to occur on sites. This is RCC, and as a structural is also a big element for sheds, for warehouses, and for heavy equipment which are housed in these sheds. Structural steel, which is very much important point. Controls pain. Then you can say maintaining site controls and contract between company and prime contractor on specifically designed contract conditions. Now, company and prime contractor are by contract, bound by contract, and there are specific design contract conditions, charges like silver. You have the silver book, or degree of extension of FIDIC red book or other books on contracts. Because we're talking of EPC contracts, silver book is very important here. Of course, red book, but many parts of red book come in there. It's not. Is that red book with possibly with reply between EPC contractor and civil works contractor possibly, whereas silver book applies between EPC contractor and you can say EPC contractor and your company or employer both bound by silver contract, or if agreed as to, and that's where. So how this red book and silver book extended to contracts, two cases. Then whether or not new engineering contract, engineering contract NEC is just in past civil engineering contracts, it's now NEC as case B or national standard contract applicable. Whatever choice you have, whatever decision you make yourself, you can go there. Whether or not new engineering contract and contract documents related to prime contract, whatever documents in prime contract in EPC, and I can say the EPC contractor and employer company. Then what are documents and levies of contract liquidated damages due to the late deliveries or due to defective works or defective performance. Liquidated damage is very, of course, it is used on contracts, and we don't care while doing bidding. We don't worry about that. Think it's very normal. We think that, but we ignore that one, which can beat us. For instance, if they contract for years under contract, and then you can say is defined time in that contract. It's very important. Contract data. What is time of contract? Then we are not able to do that in defined time. Then demand for extension. But there is no reason for extension. Yes. You can say how many days you delay your project, what's your reason. You know, damages are defined, and which are not only defined for purpose of decoration of your contract, but for purpose of applicability also. It applies on the contract. But whatever is defined as, you can say, damages, or we can call them financial damages you have to pay to company in case you're not unable to deliver project. I don't know. You have to define damages, and maximum applicable is 10%. This damages means we say 10% cumulative damages, say it becomes 200. So we can continue like this. You can say then penalties are stocking, damages are stocking. It's very good point this, because if you are liable to damages and you have to pay damages due to whatever reason, it's something you can say your reputation. Therefore, control of time is very important. And you can say if you think there's a problem of time, it should be controlled, should be managed. That's very important. It should be managed well. You have to apply for extension if that's a problem. if you can enable all those layers with that much force and company. So yes, yes. 25 and you apply with times, you apply project recover lost time, and that's what you are required to do. So if you extend your project or you apply for extension with valid reasons and record of that, not only valid reasons, record of that means if you think there's a delay due to few days lapse, you should record those details with company and only of submitting them. Just, we're going to immediately apply for record that cause, explain that cause, and provide how you made losses due to that. Maybe you don't give cost-wise losses, but time-wise losses you can give due to this reason, means because of client. And when you apply that, something comes down that maybe it's recorded or you see the document, something comes down. This will come down is maybe this subsequent file is not missing, is the same. Yes, so issue of time is over. Now we go to that is you can say that legal liabilities between company and prime contractor in case of plant's fire leading to fatalities and heavy losses as well as shutdown of plant. This will happen in future, not now, but it should be given in relation now. So we have to consider all the issues along with included liabilities, and that is between those liabilities are binding EPC contractor as well as employer, this company, both are bound together within certain limits. This is, they say that legal liabilities between company and EPC organization which are according to contract and is very important because it is EPC and responsibility of total contracting goes to EPC contractor. That project must function, but function according to requirement. It must give results for certain duration, and there should be no deficiency of anything in that case. We cannot just move to one point and explain that it is general. Technology should perform, all vessels must perform, all foundations must perform, all piping should perform. Fire risk must be limited. But here we this we did not consider anything until shy. The question is how to entertain these liabilities. Suppose there may be fire during project operation, facilities operation, and this fire happened due to automatic or self system or was contained fire. So, what I said, when it fails, when your project fails, or stops working, which is very much incredible, dangerous situation, because it should not work, but it stops working, which point must be considered in losses of time, and there could be claims from company to APC for performance failure, could be for design failure, that to shut down and repair, they could break into fire, means whatever possibilities there could be, must be considered correctly. It's question of billions and billions of dollars that facilities projects are done, and if these do not at some stage remain functional, certainly it's because of inefficiency of designs, inefficiency of performance. So in that case, liability goes to EPC and further to those special subcontracts or contracts. So that's what lesser levies of penalties during failure and life cycle of plant's facility performance, which could lead to shutdown of project process partly or fully. Then legal liabilities between company and prime contractor in case of plants fire leading to fatalities and heavy losses, I just explained. Whatever consequential losses that prime contractor has to bear, all are, if there's fires, of course there's loss of life, loss of material, loss of time, loss of money, all losses in this range of millions of dollars. It's easy, In fact, it's not that easy to think. It's very complicated. Therefore, it must be perfectly professional work affected onto this. We should not mind little more expense. At some expensive, it can be made professional. Let it be, because you are making money out of this, and your vessels amount to millions of dollars. And you may say that international arbitration for disputes resolution for all disputes raised in short terms as well as in long term basis. Then this is very normal. I explained to you that you cannot define at this stage what will happen. If this happens, it depends on contents or what is site losses. It happens. There will be many, many more disputes. Actually, it happens. But Yes, you can say company honors personal. Company's personal and honors personal are same because company is honor. Honor is company, company is honor. Of course, it's state or it may be highest profile, private investment group. No, you see, employer's personal. Employer shall appoint one representative. You know that company's personal who shall be in charge of everything. Though it is engineer, but they call in their language representative, which includes engineer. You may say, you may consider this engineer as well, doesn't matter as far as understanding is concerned. There is no one, this one, but there are so many from honors point of view to have surveillance of works. It's not responsibility but surveillance that whatever designs are approved by employer, they have to coordinate, they have to keep everywhere in their system, whatever system they adopt, business system or whatever system, every document must be there. And those personals must effectively manage and organize those from point of view of you can say from point of view of controls, from point of view of using them, from point of view of surveillance, conducting surveillance on, make sure that whatever has been designed must be affected with, must be prosecuted on site. So not only representative employer has to appoint, but employer may have to appoint a complete team for some support of surveillance. That would include technical team, safety team, quality team, possibly for its own satisfaction. Ultimately, it has to respond to its own stakeholders as well during their meetings or stages of project. In what stages of you cannot simply say to yourself, I should not trust directly EPC as well. They are, I've seen they are so actually. So point comes in about companies owners personal. So roles are defined. Roles are roles are, you can say, liable roles. No, these are not liability roles. These are roles in different capacity because they are not directly involved in execution or in designs. They are indirectly involved. So just make sure that whatever is being done, if it's being done on site, this work is done on site should be in line to whatever is designed, what should be performance and other statements, etc. And as well, if it is, you may say, is it's not liability role but servants, supporting role, ensuring role. That's very important point here. We must say incapacity role and questioning role. Of course, you can question your authority because your employer depends on you, because employer has employed you for that purpose. Employer is a question of billions and it's a question of future liabilities. If whatever can be understood now, whatever can be made sure now, I think that is best solution, that whatever we can understand very well now, it can, and to avoid future errors, this is best one. That means it is that way. In that way you can say this role is defined. Then you can say means employers, these were employers' personal now. We can say engineers' personal or EPC personal. EPC, as I said, is like engineer. If you accept in that way, if you confine in that understanding, so engineer's personal means EPC himself is engineer. So all personnel employed by EPC can be considered engineer's personnel. And I think that's best way to understand. And same role what engineer personnel dispose, only role is different, that design is involved. And you can select head of design or some other person can be delegated power to act as engineer, or otherwise it does not, as far as responsibility is concerned. So engineers personnel, whoever from all disciplines and strengths required, because only job they would do is supervision of works, surveillance of works, and you can say communication of various types. That's not soil and any other responsibilities. And we can say later on, come on to contractors personal. Contractors personal here are very important from working point of view, because contractor is civil works contractor or EPC contractor or other subcontractors, means it's some mix of all. They have to work according to their own disciplines. All this must be there. Of course, strength may not be that considerable in each case. Site is big, spread in thousands of kilometers. We have to understand this role. Contractors' personnel are actually very important part, only important part who are directly involved with execution, and you can say of course, of course, workforce requirements are very important. Workforce, which is strength to enforce, to carry out jobs, and this workforce is entire workforce here. All workers on site, all companies, including others who are around. So deployed on their own. So workforce requirement is top significance. All workforce within thousands you have to employ on one project. All workers from all contractors would be there. There will be such problems, hundreds of trades skilled and many hundreds test people, others operators and vehicle drivers. All we have to meet according to requirements, and they have to be trained for safety requirements, quality requirements. Generally, till now, the mission is not to leadership only, but mostly on quality and other issues. Then comes point of daily progress report or status. Term is very simple daily progress report, but its effects are very strong. It should tell what happened on site on that day. It should tell that. But I've seen there is no such format. No such format is designed, and people don't care about that. They just report what they think is right, but it should be completely professional. It should be done in a professional way too. It should be like a speaking page of that site. Speaking page of that site it should be, but actually it doesn't. It doesn't that way. And here where it doesn't do that way, I don't accept such reports. It's not speaking one. If it's not speaking one, it doesn't mean anything. There should be format, well built, well designed. It should tell everything. Site date, how many people were present, which classes, what matters were dealt with, which matters were released from site, what's level of workers, what's level of other workers, non how safeties of those taken, what problems were seen, any accidents, visitors to site, in which area activities are moving on, or which areas where activities have drawn, like that. So is daily progress report. It should be sent to employer next day maximum. It should give everything that happened, where activities were started and where activities were completed, what is planned for next week, possible if you can. Purpose is to keep higher ups, status people important to verify those. Then daily job record is one part. It will tell everybody whether the site is moving or not moving. What are problems? It's not washing ourselves. Daily job record is one part, and most to prime contractors. These memos to prime contractor are very important. That can be given by client or its representative. And you can say uh, you have to write to prime contractor whatever thing is not being done on site. It is duty of employer's representative. The work is not affected, or there's some defect memo, or you may not write a memo, then you will write something else, whichever thing. Or you can call their representative and representative site and work is shown. When you say memo, you have every right, if you feel that something is not done according to specs, write to them. Why? Yeah, you have to write numbers here. Then you consider, like, I'm going very slow on this so that you can understand that. You can issue memos. Concrete is not good, say you can say your brickwork or block work was not good. You did not follow instruction. You can make such allegations on site memos. Site memos issued by the resident engineer. Yes, that's very important. We have to take other considerations in this. This is, yeah. Then after this, we may say technical clarification. Technical clarification is very important point. Like, memos, it's much more than memo. In thousands of details, there can be few errors. Acceptable, but if there are half errors, so there was application impossibility was qualified. Application payable was not understood. This point we have to understand as well, that technical clarifications are very much required on every project, even construction project. EPC, though it is EPC, and EPC is responsible for all technicalities. So it is civil works contractors and other contractors. When they read drawings, they will find conformities among themselves. And to remove those complexities, this is not easy. Our contract will go into that. There may be discrepancy in drawings, in specifications, or maybe clashes in different drawings. Which classes must be raised in query? What effect there should be? You work on construction contracts, and if there is now, you can say technical clarifications constitute many hundreds sometimes. Or there may be changes, or there may be some standing, or some copy paste problem has caused some problem. It happens. So this is where then these clarifications, if they are settled, okay, or they have to be recorded, that's okay. So maybe you have to change certain provision which must be recorded after change the red lines, and these red lines must be transferred to as built, which is sole purpose is the discussion on specifications or other issues. Those can also be raised. After technical queries which are converted to red lines, and then to as built dossiers comes which you can say contractual classification. Contractual clarification, which is an important part of discrepancies on contracts, means whatever contract discrepancies exist, means we have to get them resolved. There can be anything, though it's not staged right now for that purpose, because contractual clarification must be clarified only, contractual issues must be clarified only at time of at time when you can say you have opportunity to sign contract, only that time it can be undertaken. Otherwise there is no such issue. Later on, once it's entered into contracts, we can say that's not right way for contractual clarification. But even then it can be entertained if it's with good intention. A bad intention out and contractual clarification can be obtained, but that's not very much, means you can say some adjustments can be made, or you can say some clauses can be reinterpreted, and then goes to subcontractors. Subcontractors means those people who take work from government contractor for subdisciplines, not amounting to, they are very lower class people who are not financially very low class, not expertise wise they are great, they are big. Those subcontractors are useful for purpose of work in a sense that they deliver something which others can't deliver, and that must be considered very useful from this point of view. They are contributory to project on their own disciplines. They are of course very limited personal, but those are experts. You say example like HVAC contractor, a subcontractor, electrical wiring subcontractor, electrical contractor, plumbing contractor, you can say they are all subcontractors. CCTV or security contractors. There can be a long list that we have for such contractors, without which if you have your own in home, your your own divisions for this work, that's all right. Otherwise there is no other way without involving this small profile, lower profile contracting people to help you. You cannot do. Then nominated contractor, which are given, though it may not be necessary in EPC, but it can be done if you wish, and if both parties, if employer agrees and also EPC agrees, and in interest of some specific items, it can be done. This is nominated contractor, not necessarily it may be used, it's not necessary. And then comes site instruction. Site instruction can come for whatever issue. There is no you can say bar on that, but it is much more useful where it is much more useful where this is non-design contract, means construction contract, or you can say that's much more useful rather than on EPC, because EPC is on design, so instruction issue doesn't come in. It's for red one, it is useful. That's what we have to take into consideration. So these were issues that I'm interested in today. I like to take this issue next time. Next time it's better. I try to explain these issues to everybody, particularly while keeping file here with you, so that you can see this file. If it moves on further, this goes on a little bit. So many other explanations are required. and this format is very important for everybody. That's what we are doing here. So we'll keep like that, and I like to take leave now. Leave now is over. Thank you very much. I'll see you again.